Okay, so this is my full review of the all-new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. So in today's video, I will be sharing what my experience has been like using this baby right here over the past 3-4 weeks or so. Let's go ahead and jump in. Now, if you have been following the channel for a while, then you probably know that I, absolutely love foldables. I still even have my the Z Flip 3 here that I haven't used in like a month or 2 months or so. But anyway, so I was very much looking forward to, using this guy here and experiencing it. And so far, I have to say that my expectations, they've definitely been surpassed. Now, don't get me wrong, there is no perfect, foldable phone. In fact, there is no perfect phone, right? And we will talk about some of the reasons why, some of the cons of this phone in a moment. But I want to emphasize the fact that Samsung listened and they upgraded or updated a lot of things. So this guy here is definitely an upgrade compared to its predecessor. Now, if we want to go ahead and talk about just the design itself, you will see that nothing has changed. It's, obviously the same functional, but there are a lot of very subtle changes that, separate this guy here from the previous two versions. Let's talk about about one not so subtle change, which is a good thing for the customer. It's the price. $1,799 or $1,800 for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. Now, if you remember, the Z Fold 2 was selling for $2,000. So it's a very nice move by Samsung to try to get it as close to mainstream as possible. It's not going to be mainstream anytime soon. This is what they did a good job at bringing mainstream, right, in terms of the price and making it cost what you would pay on a regular phone. In my opinion, I think this is the best foldable phone out there, hands down. That's why everyone is buying more of this than any other foldable out there. But anyways, now one of the subtle changes that were applied to this phone would be the fact that it's been upgraded to an IPX8 water resistant rated, right? So you have this, it can sit in water at up to 1.5 meters of water for 30 minutes. Now, it's not something I would advise you do, but compared to the previous one, this guy, you can still salvage it as long as it's less than 30 minutes and it's not, deeper than 1.5 meters. Another very subtle change that you will see here is going to be the camera bump. You can see right there, it's like a more refined look, right? It's not that bulky rectangular look that we had on the previous one, which, by the way, I liked. I actually prefer that one until I saw this one. It is so, not in the way, very subtle, very soft touch to it. It has a more sleek look to it, right? It's just, I think it's just very cool. Now, talking about the overall just user experience in terms of carrying the phone itself, everything is just, that satin finish. It's so cool to walk around with it. The hinge has been reworked, so it is firmer as you use it and as you close. Oh, and this is always so satisfying when closing it. So it feels good in the hands. It doesn't feel bulky, probably because I do have large hands, but it's just perfect. Now, I know that some people do not like the fact that the screen is so narrow, and we're going to talk about the screen in just a moment, but I've always thought that if they were to make the screen wider, then it gets even bulkier, because even just with this size, a lot of people find it to be bulky. The next one here, the next change, the next upgrade, that one may not be that subtle, is the support for the S Pen. Now, you do need to buy the S Pen for it. You need a special S Pen so that you don't damage the screen, because on the tip of the S Pen, it actually retracts so that when you are writing on it, it doesn't, scratch the screen. As I mentioned earlier, you do have this outside display here, which is an AMOLED display, just like it is the case with the one inside. So this is an AMOLED display. It stands at 6.2 inches, and it is also pushing a 120 hertz refresh rate, same deal as what you have on the inside, which is just insane. And the resolution here is 2268 by 832. Now, the display itself is really good. Again, you've heard the specs, right? Top level specs. You can do a lot of things here, just as you would on your normal phone. Now, it would take some getting used to if you're coming from a larger phone. Let's say if you're coming from like a iPhone 13 Pro Max. This is my iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's about the same size, if not taller, and it's wider. So if you're coming from something that is wider, to go to this phone right here, it might take some getting used to on a more narrow screen. Right now, obviously, if you want to go for the more productivity, you want to do a lot more, then you want to go ahead and just open and go for the wider screen. Of course, this here stands at 7.6 inches, which is just massive. It is what they call the dynamic AMOLED display. It has a resolution of 2208 by 1768, and it does support HDR10 plus and all that good stuff. It also does have a high refresh rate, right? So 120 hertz, just like it was the case with the top. So now you have 120 hertz on the front screen, on the front display, and 120 hertz on the massive screen on the inside. On the previous one, you didn't have 120 hertz. Now you have it on here. So user experience has been top notch. Fantastic. You cannot find anything better than opening that gigantic screen, which is pretty much a tablet. And you know, whether it's entertainment, playing games, watching movies, whatever the case may be, or just splitting the display into multiple parts and working and increasing your productivity, it has been top notch. The one thing that I would love for them to do would be to create a spot here where they could put that S Pen rather than having to walk around. I mean, it does stick to the phone itself, but rather than having to walk around with it, I would have loved it if they could find a spot to, you know, just like it is the case with the Galaxy Note, right? So the Note series that they took out. Top-notch chipset, you're looking at a Snapdragon 888 on here. It is wicked fast. It is super fast. It is coupled with 12 gigs of RAM, which of course is way more than you need, right? Performance has been, you know, I haven't been disappointed. Whether it be just multitasking on a regular mode, or pulling up the big guns, right? Samsung DeX. When you use Samsung DeX, you take your productivity level to just the moon, pretty much. Now, let me quickly go over some of the physical features that I didn't mention before. We have a physical fingerprint sensor, and if you've been watching the channel for a while, then you probably know that I adore physical fingerprint sensor. Super fast, very, very secure, and the positioning for it is just perfect. It is just very, very fast. In addition, of course, you do have the other ways of unlocking the phone. You do have a volume rocker there, up and down. Dual speaker setup. Let's say when you have it like this, one speaker on each side, that means you do not cover it as you are using your phone. Let's say you're playing a game or whatever the case may be, watching movies, holding your phone that way, the sound, you don't block the sound when it comes out. And all around the phone here, you do have a bunch of mics all over the place, and of course you do have a USB Type-C port for transfer, fast data transfer, and of course for fast charge also. And speaking of fast charge through that USB Type-C port, it is also wireless fast charge capable, I believe at up to 11 watt. It's also reverse charge, so you can, it has reverse charge, it is wireless fast charge. Now I do want to go back on that camera module there. Now I talked about the fact that it's been upgraded to just be more refined here. You do have a telephoto, a wide, and an ultra wide lens there. They all, well, each of them is 12 megapixel. Picture quality, don't expect it to be a Galaxy Tab S21 Ultra, but still expect picture quality here to be top notch, to be flagship picture quality. It is really, really good. Here's another another great thing about this thing. If you like taking selfies and you want to take your selfies, obviously you could just open it this way and use that display, the front display, as the preview, and use the main camera for your videos or pictures, whatever the case may be. So in terms of camera quality, it is still very sharp. And still, speaking of front facing camera, even though you can do this and use that display as your preview to use this main camera as your selfie camera, you do have a selfie camera itself on that front display there, and we're looking at 10 megapixel for that front facing camera. Also good quality, good picture quality. And as if that wasn't enough, we do have a third camera on the inside here. You can see here under the display, which is pretty much cutting edge technology. And I absolutely love that Samsung is always pushing the envelope. Now I know a lot of people, because picture quality is not as good as what you would get on like that 10 megapixel on the front here, or what you would get from the main camera, but I like that Samsung is already doing that, because that's how you start, and then you better it, and then you better it, right? I believe it's 4 megapixel, and picture quality, you know, it takes pictures with, you know, if it's well lit, you can take decent picture, but it's just not what you would expect from a front-facing camera, from a flagship camera, right? But then again, from a flagship phone is what I meant. But then again, like I said, that's just where they start, and then they better it. Now let's go ahead and talk battery here, which is another thing that's not so great about this phone. I've listed a lot of good things and a few bad things about this phone, but the battery is another one of those. It's not terrible, but it's not great, right? So it all depends, obviously, of your usage. You have to think about the fact that they've added, a bunch of new things, especially that high refresh rate on the front now. So depending on how you use it, you might not have great battery life. Now, and with my usage over the past few weeks, I've been hitting pretty close to 5 hours of SOT. I can't tell how long it's gonna, what your usage, what your battery life is gonna be like. So it's gonna depend on your usage, but keep in mind that it's not top notch. But anyway, so this is probably my favorite phone so far out of all of my devices, I'd say. But anyway, I'm certainly hoping that this was informative. I'm going to catch you in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this. Is this something you were looking to pick up? I'm going to catch you in the comment section. Make sure to like, share the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'm also going to catch you in the next video. And of course, as always, up until that next video, stay safe out there.